There we go. Tēnā koutou katoa. So kia ora everyone, and welcome to today's meeting for the Waimāero Fendalton-Waimairi-Harewood Community Board for Monday, the 6th of November, starting at 4:34 p.m. Before we get started, we'll begin with a karakia. So Aidan, do you mind putting the words on the screen? Yeah. And we'll all stand to say it together. Whakataka ki te uru, whakataka te au ki te tonga, kia mana kina ki uta, kia mana taratara ki tai, e ake ana te matakura, he tio, he huka, he maukuna, te hei mauiora. Thank you, everyone. And now we'll begin with apologies. So we don't have apologies, but just want to acknowledge those that are on Zoom, which is Sam, David, Linda, and we will soon to have James and Aaron. Do they need to be moved for a
apology for lateness?
Maybe an apology for lateness for James and for Aaron. If I could have a mover, Trish, and then Jason to second. All those in favour say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any against? Carried. And then moving on to item number 2 for declarations of interest. So I haven't received any declarations of interest, but I am conscious that there might be a topic in here just when we get to item number 8. That's item number 8. Yeah,
for David.
For David. David Cartwright.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, item 8. So, and also possibly, and for James as well, if he is to appear. So just be conscious of that, just to move away from the table when we get to that item. We going to move to that? No. And then moving on to item number 3, confirmation of the previous minutes. Would anyone like to move those minutes from last month? Thank you, Nicola. And a seconder. Trish, thank you to second. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Carried. And then item number 4, public forum. I believe we don't have anyone here for public forum. No. And then we have item number 5, deputations by appointment, to which there were none. Item 6, presentation of petitions. There were no presentations of petitions either, which takes us to staff report, item number 7. And we have Anthony here to take us through the exciting walkway. Oh, and James has just joined. Kia ora, James.
Hi.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I think it's exciting. Thanks for the accolade on that. So most of you are aware that we launched the Sticks Vision 2040 back in about 2000, and there's 5 key visions with that. One was a viable spring-fed river ecosystem. One was a living laboratory through creating a place to come and learn and do research in the Sticks catchment. Sticks is a place to be, so celebrating the really cool things about the catchment, like the big trees, the historic infrastructure, and the high natural character. 5th vision was partnerships, so partnerships with City Council, the Trust, ECAN, CRIs, all sorts of places. But the 2nd vision was a source to sea experience, through creating an urban national reserve network and a source to sea walkway. And we've got a lot of the reserve network in public ownership now, either through legal road or unformed legal road rather, Esplanade reserves, other reserves. About probably 2/3 is in public ownership. We haven't got many walkway segments installed yet. There's a few: 6 Mile Reserve, Kapatahi Confluence, Radcliffe Road. There's a lot that needs to be installed to allow people to actually access the reserves and move along that walkway. So it's getting to be quite linked up now. So we've put this the document together showing the routes that we'd like to establish the walkway on. It'll be a 2.6 metre wide crushed dust walkway. So it won't be a 30 km/h cycleway, although you can cycle along it on a recreational outing, which I do. But we're really trying to celebrate the high natural character of the catchment. So it's a bit different to the Avon River. All of our reserves are mostly Esplanade reserves. And Esplanade Reserve purpose is for conservation of freshwater values and for access along waterways and other activities as if they meet those criteria and support those core functions. So hence the crushed dust path, 2.6 metres wide enough to walk along 2 or 3 abreast, and have vegetation spill over the path to create a really natural experience. And I guess if there's any questions about the routes, this is probably the time to ask. But what more do you want from me?
Yeah, no, thank you. I think it's really exciting. I think it's a fantastic asset around connecting people to nature. But I don't have any questions around the routes themselves, but I'll see if there's anyone online or around the table who has any specific questions for you. Yes, Trish.
I think you have mentioned in the report about engagement with the mana whenua.
Yeah, we've engaged with mana whenua since the very start of the whole Sticks Vision process, and we were engaged with them on a case-by-case basis when we construct the tracks. This meeting here is just to confirm the board are happy with the route, so we can carry on to actually do that next stage. But mana whenua, they're really keen to get access to along the waterways, so it fits in with their source to sea, kia ora kitai principles as well, and access to Mahangakai. And along with the walkways will come restoration of those sites as well.
Maybe it would be, did you have a question, Jess?
Yeah, just generally, so the overall picture of the map is this kind of putting the pathway and all the sections that are available. I'm imagining, so that hasn't started yet, right? But that, or how, like, I know there are some sections of pathway,
yeah,
through the Sticks Reserve and things like that.
They're all kind of isolated in small sections. So the priority is here actually linking those sections up.
Yeah,
with access from one reserve through to another. So that's the thrust of this. We need to, if people want to use these reserves, they want to go from A to B, but it's a big gap in the middle where you can't actually walk through. So boardwalks and footbridges, boardwalks rather, paths, important to actually link those existing sites together.
and then like in terms of any barriers that there might be around private ownership of certain stretches and main everything like that, is that just something where there's like what's the thought around that? Is it gaining, like, because it's like a Queen's Chain or something, access away from the river where you can do, like,
No,
what's the plan around that?
It's quite complex. The plan is, prior to the earthquakes, we used to buy a lot of property. I need to buy things with. Since the earthquakes, we haven't actually acquired much property through purchase, but there's so much development happening in this catchment now. We're acquiring it through SMART reserves and SMART strips. So there's a lot of sites in here that are all about to come over to council within the next 12 or 18 months, and there's significant lengths too, but they're given to council as SMART reserve or SMART strip. The problem we have is upstream from Gardeners Road to Numwick Park, there's no requirement for SMART strip or reserve in the district plan. We have to actually approach property owners on a case-by-case basis. When they develop their properties, there's no requirement for them to give the council SMART strip or access through there. So it's a willing buyer, willing seller, or other negotiation to get that link through.
So that Esplanade Reserve, or as you're kind of talking about, for example, I'm just thinking of an example where that might be the case. So on the corner of Sticks Mill Road and Main North Road there, where the retirement village is building that, like, is that kind of section of land, is that going to kind of fall under one of those
that's
scenarios?
A good example. That site there was a reserve. There's already a 10-metre wide SMART reserve regional park through the true left bank, so the Main North Road side of the road. So we've already got access through there. Because Ryman's was a unit type of subdivision, there's no requirement for them to give SMART reserve or additional reserve contribution. So there's no extra room for reserve, but we've got the big basin, which is a public ownership. On the true right bank, the owners through there are developing about a 14 or 15 unit subdivision through there on that higher ground. So they're having to give SMART reserve, a narrow reserve, and SMART strip. So there'll be a 20-metre wide public access right the way through from that point through to Redwood Springs, which we want to put that. So by the time this is established with these plans here, we'll be able to walk from Gardeners Road through the SMART strip to Sticks Mill Conservation Reserve, through the reserve to Main North Road, across Main North Road and down into that basin, around to Redwood Springs and to the motorway. So it's probably 3 or 4 kilometre length. Then you can flip up the motorway, cycleway to the Kapatahi and go right into Rural Domain on public reserve land and back through to Marshall Road. So it's a big link that's starting to join up now.
Cool.
That's the exciting part of it.
That's real cool.
So going back, so from upstream, there's no requirement for SMART reserve from Gardeners Road. From Gardeners Road to Marshall Road, there's requirement for SMART strip, which is remains within the private property, but it's all intents and purposes, it's a public reserve. You can access it, we can restore it, but it remains in the title. And from Marshall Road downstream, there's no reserve requirement, 20 metres wide.
Sorry, another one. I'm just wondering, is there, and this probably come up from the board anyway, but like, is there anything that we're not doing at the moment that we can do just to help, whether it's promoting through the newsletters when obviously there'll be certain times when you want more people aware of stuff when work's done and ready to be used. But yeah, is there anything else that we can do?
I guess it's just really promotion of using the walkway. As I mentioned in the report here, there's actually not much money, if anything, for ongoing operational costs for the walkway. The best way to maintain a walkway is actually walking on it. You walk on it to kill the weeds.
You
don't need to do anything. So the more people using it, the better. So promotion is one thing. Any way you can advocate for more access through district plan requirements in the future, actually acquiring land through subdivision. 20 metres is good, but it's often not enough.
Yeah, so can I keep going?
Yes.
Does anyone else have any questions that have come up?
I have a question, but you go.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, I'll just do one more and someone else can jump in. So in terms of ongoing operational funding to support the maintenance of it going forward, so is there no funding in council at the moment for that? Like, what is the funding situation around that?
The issue that regional parks in particular have is we're getting all these reserves given to council through subdivision. That's really exponential at the moment.
Yeah.
There's no additional operational funding coming through, or it's minimal. I don't know the exact figures behind that, but if it's an urban park, they get, for example, $1,000 per hectare. If it's a regional park, they get $100 per hectare to maintain it. So the values in regional parks are but they're just not keeping up.
Yeah, this is more of a statement than anything else. I'm just wondering if there was a way to increase the CapEx spend, which we could potentially leverage some of the better off funding we've got to further reduce that operational maintenance, then potentially it's something that we could use some better off funding for. But obviously we're trying to avoid using that funding for OPEX stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
But if there is a way to spend a bit more on CapEx to then keep that maintenance cost down, then that could be something we could potentially help out with.
Yeah, okay. Let me think about that.
I'll stop there.
Jason?
Is the whole route wheelchair friendly?
Yeah, well, because it's so flat, it's going to be. So, and one good example is the Radcliffe Road site, Te Wako Kakatea. We've got a 1.5 kilometre circuit. We just had 40 metres to actually make it accessible from the car park right the way around. And so all the bridges, boardwalks will all be wheelchair accessible from prams. And that's the beauty of living in Christchurch, I guess. Flat. Yep.
Any questions online before I ask my one? No? Cool. Awesome. I just wanted to, I can't see it in the report, and forgive me if it isn't.
That's okay.
But what is the timeline for this project?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I said, depends on money. You know, there's a budget there called the, what's it called? The Regional and Community Parks Development Budget, which has got 10 million in it between 25 and 31. There'll be other priorities, so it could come out of that. It could come out of other funds to do the walkway. This decision here is just on the route, not the actual construction of it. Yeah. We've got funding this financial year to do the Arua Domain walkway, which is about maybe 400 metres long. So that'll be happening. Regional parks have a hard surface budget to do the Radcliffe Road extension of the pasture there, and probably Te Wako Kapukura as well. And that's a significant length, so as money is available. And it could be third-party funding as well. I just emailed off to Lynn's today, Land Information New Zealand, who own the unformed legal, they own the hydro parcel downstream from Marshall Road, which used to be dry land. It used to be a river, rather. It's now dry land because we've realigned the river. But that's all Lynn's land. So they may have some funding to walk some paths through there too. So it's looking at other opportunities. It doesn't have to be council that does everything. Could be looking laboratory trusts could fundraise for these sort of things too, or other community groups. So it will happen when it happens. It's a short answer, I guess.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Yeah. Oh, Jason, you should quote it. No kidding. Go.
Do you roughly know what proportion of this, off the top of your head, sits solely in our ward areas, and then which ones border?
This one here is all within your ward area. Yeah, the whole lot. There's a little bit in Innis, which is Redwood Springs. And in the coast, we've got Janet Stewart Reserve. But most of it's actually in your board now, which is pretty cool.
Okay, yeah, that might make it things easier.
And so if it's based on funding, are you open to the idea of doing it piece by piece as you have, as the funding comes in?
That's how it will happen.
Yeah, cool.
That's right.
Okay.
Won't be all at once.
Yeah, no, of course.
And you see in one of the tables, they've got on page 5, there's priorities, there's about 15 reserves, and it's all, priority 1, A, B, C, D, 2, A, B, C, D. So that's why we want to stage them in terms of getting the ones actually connected up first. And some might be years away, actually not that important at this stage, but we know where they need to go.
Yeah.
And because it's such a linear route, it's only certain places you can put the path, so it's not a huge decision, I don't think.
Oh, exciting. Excellent. All right.
The one which is called Coca-Cola Esplanade Reserve.
Yeah.
Do they pay naming rights?
No.
Council?
No. Okay, so what's happened there is it used to belong to Coca-Cola New Zealand. It's about 3.5 hectares. And they sold to Coca-Cola Euro Pacific. They had to go through the Overseas Investment Office. They then had to give the council the 20-metre wide reserve on the sticks, and they retained their land in Coca-Cola ownership, so about 3 hectares. We said, well, what do you want to do with your land? I said, well, we don't care about the land. We're just going to, we never sell it, never develop it. We want to plant a carbon forest. They're planting a 3.5 hectare native forest on their land, adjacent to our native forest in the reserve. So it's going to be in private ownership, but it's kind of semi-public. We have to bring schools into there to do education. So it's a private forest, and that's why it's called. That won't be the formal name. It's just a working name for the area. Could be Oruhia Forest or something, but yeah. But they want to support the trust in the future as much as they can. So we're working in partnership with. I'm going to say we. I'm part of the trust as well. Yeah. Working in partnership with Coca-Cola to actually get some good things on the ground.
Yeah. Get them to pay for some of the.
They are. They're funding quite. They're going to fund us into the future too. It could be paths.
Yeah.
A list of a funding menu for them to consider, and paths and boardwalks is one thing, and bridges, that's important too.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming along to the board. I don't think, we've got no issues around placement in terms of, where you're putting the walkways, but it sounds like great work. So thanks for coming along.
Someone has to move.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. So would someone like to move the report? Thanks, Jason. And anyone to second?
1 second.
Okay, thank you, Shrish. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? No, carried. Great. Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, thanks very much.
All right, moving on to item number 8 for the Better Off Fund applications for consideration with Marianne.
Thank you, Bridget. So this is our kind of first tranche of bringing them to you. We had the workshop where we identified a number of projects, and as agreed there, as their projects are ready, we'll just bring them to you to each meeting. So these are our first 4, the first 4 off the rank. Staff are here to talk to them. I was 2 of them are mine and 2 are Lisa's, I think. So, but happy to take any questions. And we were just wondering, James, whether you wanted to declare a conflict of interest on the first one. David has, and we just weren't sure about.
Yeah, I will. Thanks, Marianne.
Yeah. But happy to take questions.
I'm happy to move them if you want, Bridget.
Okay, thanks, Sam. There are no other questions. Anyone else to second?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. All right, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? No. Carried. Yay, thanks for all your work on that, team. That's awesome. Cool. All right, moving on to item number 9 is the discretionary response fund.
Thank you. We have received an application from the Christchurch City BMX Club, and they're wanting to improve their surface out at Kyle Park. And although they're at Kyle Park, not in our ward area, we still have quite a high percentage of members that reside in our ward area. What they're finding is the run-up, as the riders run up to the track, is dirt, and a lot of the younger riders are struggling to get up there, going backwards, and it's become a bit of a health and safety issue. So they want to concrete that kind of last roll up into the timing gates. So it's also gone to the Hawesville Hornby Riccarton board as well, and both staff have recommended the same amount for the project.
Anyone have any questions for Lisa? Well, I'm happy to move. Who's the seconder?
For a second.
Thank you, Jason. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? No, carried. Great.
So here.
All right. Youth Development Fund.
Oh,
Oh, the whole,
look,
look at the
they're all
whole
coming.
thing. Look at that.
a photo.
Oh,
I mean, pretty straightforward on the first one. We have a huge dance school, 22 members. We only have 5 in our area though. So we've tried to keep our recommendations as consistent as possible because there are so many of dancers across the city. It is kind of hard when one board area has 1 member and we have 5, but the advisors have all talked, but this is a really good opportunity for these dancers going over to the States, and they will be performing at Disney World and Universal Studios, and it's a full immersion type program for them and hugely expensive, you know, $8,800 each, but they're getting into the fundraising as much as they can.
cool. All right.
Next,
You
aren't
go.
I? Yeah.
I think you're next. Jen.
Yep. I've got Connor, who's off to Japan. Because I did go "Ooh." For 2 weeks soon. Yeah, so it's just with his school and a kind of an exchange trip. And yeah, just an experience to learn the culture. Also, the guy speaks a lot of languages, which I think is fantastic. I don't know if you saw that. It's like multilingual. Yeah, so he's done a lot of fundraising himself towards the cost as well. He's raised 1,300, so it's a total of 3,000.
And sorry, this can I ask a question on this particular person? This person, the student, they live in the ward. Is that, or is it the connection to Middleton Grange? It's the fact they live in the ward, right?
Yeah, they live in the ward. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Middleton Grange, and yeah.
Yeah, the suburb is the applicant suburb, right?
Yes.
Who want to.
Yeah, the suburb is Ilam, yeah, and it's in our area because obviously Ilam's split, but yeah. Cool. Yeah, he lives in our area.
Double check on that.
And I've got the third one, which is the Scout Jamboree in Hamilton, Misty Creek. They have it every 3 years, and we've got 5 youth from 12 to 13 years old going to attend. Big international thing. They usually have thousands and thousands of scouts there from all around the world.
Delightful. All right. Would anyone like to move? We'll move them all together. All questions. Sorry, Shreesh.
I'm happy to move.
Oh, you happy to move? All right. And this is moving them all together. Cool. So Shreesh to move. Need a second. Thanks, Nicola. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Carried. Great.
Thank you.
Can I just flag that we are halfway through the year nearly, and the amount in the fund is drastically reducing. Just wanting to get a feel from you if in the new year you'd be happy for us to bring a report to top it up, or are you quite okay with once it's gone, it's gone? So it is to see us through to the end of June. There was 10,000 in the fund. We're down to about
Oh,
Three.
about
It was
3
3,
now,
yeah,
just under
that's right.
3.
in 6
Up to
months.
time.
So
I mean, we tend to top it up. So
We do,
I think a
yeah.
report would be good.
okay.
That'd be my preference. Cool. All right.
And can I just remind everyone about Celebrate Bishopdale? Yes. Oh, sorry. Stole the thunder.
All right. So wait, that was item 10, wasn't it? That's done. So moving on to item 11.
Thank you.
Area report.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I was just going to take the report as read, but as Lisa highlighting that 5th of November is Celebrate Bishopdale. And we've got the skate jam on at the same time on the other side of the park. And we've also got a pool party coming up at Jelly Park. It's a busy time for Lisa at this time of the year. And just a few things in there. Bridget and Jason spoke at the council, or Bridget, sorry, spoke at the council meeting about the mental health pui. Karen, thank you so much. And just some stuff in there about what's been going on locally. So happy to answer any questions if you've got them.
Looks good.
Happy to move.
Thanks, Marianne. Thanks, Jason. Anyone to second? Nicola?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, cool. We'll give it to you, David. All right. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Oh, carried. Great.
And so just noting that the progress report on the board plan is attached to that as well.
Cool. And then moving on to item 12, elected members information exchange. Would anyone like to share what's going on?
I have a question, if we can, on the Elmwood Park resurfacing. Have we got an understanding on how that's going? I see that it's a two-stage project, but they haven't actually moved on to the second bit of lawn yet, and what the intentions are there. Plus, there's quite a bit of a circumference. It really looks like it's a cricket resurfacing project, not a re-grassing of the whole park.
All right, David.
Anything that we can look into that?
What would, what would the process be? Would that just be, maybe that's something that.
A request to the parks team or
Yeah.
something for an update on what's going on?
Yeah.
Look it through to me.
David, look, I'm not sure if you heard Aidan, but just what you've just summarised, if you could send that to Aidan, and Aidan is going to see what the parks team has for an update on that.
Cool. The next one, did we see in the media today that Nigel Cox, head of recreations, has been awarded some big prize? As the board, do you think we should write to him and congratulate him?
Yeah, we could do that.
There was a presentation for him at the council meeting last week.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah, they do a section at the beginning of each council meeting where the mayor does a presentation to any staff that have received awards. So he was on that list, but I don't think he was.
No, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, but I was unaware of that.
We were there, David, and we clapped, but we're not sure if he was actually present. We gave our appreciation.
Yeah. A clap as a disease is not good, but I'm happy with a clap.
I missed that completely. Well. Anyway, moving on. Okay, anything else?
Good one, David. I attended the Northwood Residents Association committee meeting last week, and it was the first meeting of their new committee. It was noted that there was 60 odd people at their AGM, I think a week or two beforehand, which Aaron attended on behalf of the board. I think you mentioned that last time, but I don't think we mentioned how many people were there. So they have a very engaged community over in that part of town. They are pretty happy with how some of the projects and kind of issues we've been working with over there are going on. They did raise a question which I've seek some guidance outside of this meeting already, just around the big poplar trees that run down Main North Road, because they are getting very tall, and I guess some of them are just getting a little bit concerned with some of the high winds we have around, the potential of some of them coming down, and just what the council's plan, if any, is around the kind of maintenance and management of that. So I've kind of raised that, and we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I think that other than that, that was all pretty good on that end, but that's all I've had from the community recently. Oh, and thanks to Nicola for passing on a tree query for me.
Oh, that's all right.
Resident and over on Saracen Ave over there in Northwood, so I'll pick up that one with gusto. Thank you.
Very much. That's great.
The thing I just would like to add for this part of the meeting is just to acknowledge Karen and the team on the successful Burnside Bromwich Community Network meeting that took place on the 2nd of November. So it's the first of its kind, and it was fantastic. And myself and Nicola both attended. I couldn't be there the whole time, but it was a great networking get together, and it was both like educational, informative, but also everyone there was really excited that stuff's happening, and it felt like it was the start of something really great for the area. So thanks for all your hard work on that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was really good. I think people really felt connected, and the ones that could come that were really, that weren't so, they were really appreciative of the opportunity, and it was good. It was, as Bridget said, it was really informative. So Karen, you did a great presentations. looking forward to Natalie's, but anyway.
I see Aaron has joined the call. Aaron, you're up to date on the elected members information exchange. Anything you'd like to share?
No, nothing from me. You guys, I'm all good.
I'm having duck in the background. Don't worry, don't have to answer that. Don't have to answer that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Oh, Shreesh.
Yeah, just two quick ones. I bumped into a resident from Waimāero-Harewood in the shop yesterday, and she passed on the appreciation for the funding for the street neighborhood.
Summer with the neighbours.
Summer with the neighbor. She said, "Oh, our street thing was yesterday," and she wondered whether we as elected members know what's happening when. So I said, "Yes, we do." She said, "Oh, it's actually postponed because of the weather. It's happening next week." I think why I'm sharing this is irrespective of the small amount we give them, they actually appreciate that. And she made it a point to, say it to me in the countdown yesterday. So that's one. I also bumped into Mr. Graham Barber, Pasadena Reserve, came more than once here. 4 of his 6 trees are gone. He is very happy about it, and he would love the remaining 2 to go. So we didn't talk much, but he's again appreciative that we have been with him through his pain. And he's much happier now.
Nice, thanks. All right, well, if there's no other elected members information exchange, then we will, before we finalise, we'll just go to our last karakia, and we'll just have Aidan put it up on the screen.
Unahia, ki te uru tapanui, kia wātea, kia māma, tēnā rākau, te tina, te wairua I te ara takata. Koia rā e runga, whakahairia ake ki runga, kia tina, hui e, tai e.
Thanks, everyone. And we will officially close the meeting at 6 minutes past 5.